Don't you want it? 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 You lose your little mind. My Deadlights.
Welcome to the Deadlights podcast. I'm your host, Sam Johnston.
And I'm Leslie, bringing you your weekly dose of horror. Because you want it.
Because you want it.
Yeah.
And we got it.
We got it, so we got to give it out.
We're going to give it to you. We're going to give it to you,
whether you like it or not.
And this week, just you and me giving it to them.
Yes, we have no guest.
No guest here.
Which is fine.
That's
it's just
cool.
a Sam and Leslie show.
Classic.
Classic.
We've done this before.
Classic. Cult classic.
Cult classic. I thought it was kind of funny that the only time that you watched this movie that we just watched before was, you said, with your dad and brother.
Yeah, it was
which is kind of
awkward.
uncomfortable. And then now you have to watch it with your brother from another mother.
From another mother.
So you can't get away from watching
family.
this
movie
with your brothers.
Let me tell you though. I mean, I'm a little more grown up. I think the first time that I saw it was back in 2011, you know? So that was when I was like, no, it must have been like, no, yeah, around that time. I was like graduating high school. So, and also shout out to my brother, Sal. You freaking are a fan.
Yeah, a weekly fan, right?
A weekly fan. And
thanks for listening, Sal. Shout out to you.
Shout out.
And to anyone else who's listening every week. We appreciate it.
Some cousins and some friends of mine from my good old college days. So thank you very much.
And, yeah, we've been getting some really good feedback so far from the episodes. So thank you to everyone who's been listening so far. We're going on 20 episodes, and it feels like we just started, right?
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't feel like that many.
No, it's been so much fun too. And then like bringing in friends and them being very excited about joining us or like, when can I come in? So thank you for all of our friends too, for
all the people
for wanting to come and chill and see a movie with friends. So yeah. It's really awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. And so today, returning back to basics with Sam and Leslie, we watched Black Swan.
Black Swan.
Came out in 2010, directed by Darren Aronofsky, written by Mark Heyman, Andres Heinz, and John J. McLaughlin. A committed dancer struggles to maintain her sanity after winning the lead role in the production of Swan Lake.
Boy, oh boy, was she committed, and boy, oh boy, did she go through a psychosis.
She went for it.
Oh, yeah, poor babies. Like, I said it over and over again through the movie, but these are, like, an early stage of schizophrenia, you know? And, like, she just wasn't getting help from her mom, or it was maybe, you know, kind of conditioned. I mean, not that schizophrenia is a condition, like, you know what I'm saying? Like a outer condition, but...
Yeah, it's definitely commenting on the world that we're watching, too, being the dance industry. And I think also just entertainment industry in general is very similar to these pressures that are put on people and how that can push you to do crazy things and push you to the brink of sanity sometimes. I think that this movie is almost like a cautionary tale of sometimes where these professions can push people and how much they're actually willing to give up of others and also of themselves to be perfect.
Yeah.
And be in these... I mean, we're talking about the dance industry, which is for so long has been about pure image. It's about beauty. And they talk about beauty multiple times in this movie, but also there's this question of what is beautiful to a certain person. What if someone thinks that pain is beautiful? So...
Which she clearly had hand in hand with. Like, she absolutely was self-harming to the... And also self-harming, but sometimes it was imaginary. So, like, she had occasions where she wanted to self-harm, and it was all just in her mind, and she wasn't doing it. and then the others where she was doing it.
Mhm.
So it's like, to us, it was like, what's real, what's not, like,
Yeah.
who's doing this to you?
Yeah, this movie does such a good job of... I mean, I've seen this movie at least 5 times, probably. And so every single time I'm noticing more things. I'm always questioning, did that really happen? Did this really happen? Was that person really there? Because I think ultimately what it comes down to is she is self-harming. And we see instances where she imagines things to almost put the blame of that harm on someone else, when in reality it really is her and the pressure that she's putting on herself to be in this role, and her trauma, obviously, from her situation that she's grown up from. It's all just coming and bubbling up in this high pressure situation that she's in the lead role of this ballet.
Yeah.
All right, well, we made it through this time.
We did.
We made it fully through this time, which is good. Made it.
So nice.
But let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
From the top.
Make it drop.
That's on Wet Ass Pussy.
Was it wet? Yes.
Yes.
That was
times.
real.
Couple times. We start off... I love how this movie opens because it's almost like we're opening of the ballet.
Mm-hmm.
This is the beginning of Swan Lake, I'm assuming, because she then talks about it in like the next scene, that she dreamed that she was dancing the prologue of Swan Lake.
Because she's in a school and they release the productions that they're gonna have for the year.
Mm-hmm.
So Swan Lake is the beginning of it, and of course she's dreaming about having the role.
And there's this whole thing that's going on where what seems like the most famous dancer that's at this school is retiring and being
forced.
Yes, definitely not a decision that she made.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's an opening. There's this possibility that someone else can kind of come in and be the new queen.
I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really grasp that. Like, she had hopes because, Winona's character, Beth, is departing. And there's, like, hush because, like, she's older. Mm-hmm. Meaning, fucking
30, maybe.
30. And, like, she is, once we meet her, she's a little unhinged,
mm-hmm.
But also, rightfully so, she's pissed off.
Yeah. Because
she's being forced to retire. And we talked about beauty standards and how these people are forced to be a certain type of beauty. Mm-hmm. Skinny, beautiful, everything needs to be perfect.
Well, and we actually, even before we watched the movie, we were talking about how when actresses hit a certain age, sometimes they're not seen for a while because they're like in between this like beauty standard and they don't have roles for them, but it's so beyond what is reality.
Yeah.
But this movie does a great job of showing that that's how this industry is, like you hit a certain age and
it looks painful.
You're going to be kind of swooped out.
And ballet, like, we've all, I don't know if everybody's seen pictures of ballerinas' feet, but they're all fucked up from constantly being on their little pointy toes. We're not supposed to, be on our toes. We're supposed to be flat on them. So they go through pain and they're willing to do that to have this beautiful dance. Mm-hmm. It is a very beautiful dance, but
at what cost?
Yeah. Take the words out of my mouth.
And I think too that this movie there's multiple shots, multiple instances, and even in this first scene we see it of Nina, who's played by Natalie Portman, mm-hmm. the main character, preparing her feet and preparing her shoes. And it's like a very long, intense, it looks so uncomfortable, how she's stretching her feet and moving her feet, and she's mm-hmm. using a knife to like scratch up her shoes mm-hmm. to get it all worn in. And we have multiple times we're doing close-ups of feet in this movie, and it looks uncomfortable. Yeah. It really it doesn't look super, super beautiful close up and with these like very in your face
like this.
Yeah. So,
and also when you're in a profession like that, especially dancing, it is a prolonged daily thing that you do. You rarely have some moments to yourself. You wake up and you do these stretches. You like do yoga and you like stretch your feet out. You prepare. So like you're working from the beginning. You're doing so much work, like warm up before you go to class. And then in class, you're like dancing for 6 to 8 hours, sometimes 10. And then you go home and you practice more, or you stay there and you practice even longer. So you're like a dancer all day, day and
breathing.
night.
Yeah.
Which is,
all.
I mean, if you love that, definitely.
Yeah.
But also, don't work yourself to death.
Well, I think what is good...
Not intended.
Right. Well, but what I was about to say is I
Yikes.
think that Nina's is a perfect person to follow, because she's the perfect example of... We see her in the beginning of this movie as someone who does exactly that. They wake up, they're doing their stretches immediately, and they're going to class and hitting all those beats. Like technique-wise, she's got it down. She's so... Because she practices all the time and lives and breathes it, and wants it so bad. And she also has a home situation where her mother is babying her, you know, where she is being treated like a kid, where she's sleeping in a little kid's room still.
She's not letting her grow up.
Not really letting her grow up. She's very much controlling what she wears, what she eats.
Well,
all like her fingernail length, you know, she's being very, very controlled. And that is how Nina's character starts off in the movie. Controlled and innocent and meek, scared. You know? All those things.
Very meek. Very meek. Scared to step out of line. Even though she's 28 years old.
Yeah.
But like from the moment, like the mom is controlled because she is living vicariously through her.
Oh, yeah.
Like her mom is still like, you can tell that she's also a dancer because her hair's back like a ballerina. She's wearing all black and like a little like just like leotard and everything a ballerina wears. And she wants to take her to school so then her mother can also feel like she's taking herself there again.
Yes, because there is a crazy complex relationship that's going on between the mother and daughter in this movie, because she is so about Nina's life and seemingly helping her in her life, but then there's this like hate that she has for her too, because she kind of had to give up her own career to have and raise Nina. So there's this like weird jealousy that the mother has for Nina, and it comes out in like these weird kind of bubbling over instances where she's nice in one moment and then switches like this to be controlling and like vindictive.
Yeah, very bipolar for sure.
It's sad, and it's keeping Nina in this like younger kind of state. The first time that she goes to the school is for the audition, and there's this interesting moment that when she's on the train and she's looking at herself in reflection. There's a lot of reflections in this movie too.
Yeah,
a lot of reflections. And then she's like, she looks around and sees someone else down the train, and like only like kind of like the back of her head. And she just for some reason like is focusing on this person, and there's also this interesting moment where she sees a person like brush her hair over her, and she's like in the same motion, doing the exact same thing, but then that person gets off the train before she does, and you know it's kind of just left there. But later, when she's at the school, it's implied that Mila Kunis's character, Lily, is the person that she saw down the train. Because she shows up late. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I got off on the wrong stop and I had to hoof it all the way here. And
yeah, like, physically, they look the same.
Yeah.
They have the same little tiny body and stuff, but, like, they themselves look-wise, like, Natalie Portman did such a good job. Because she can portray a very intense face, but she did a very great job to kind of soften all her features, and then she looked very meek too. and the whole time she's dressed, and she also has this like very soft voice. It never like races.
Yeah.
I hope if you can pick it up from here, but
I'll
if
turn
you
up the volume.
can't, that's how she's talking the whole time, because she is this little tiny meek little person.
Mm-hmm.
She's never had the opportunity to stand up for herself, so it's like you can hear it. And Lily, Mina's character, she's quite the opposite.
Yes.
And then all her features were darker than Natalie Portman's. Her clothes are all dark too, so
she's loud. She's
unapologetic.
Yeah, she's getting off the wrong stops but still making it work, and she's still a great dancer.
Mm-hmm.
And later she's described as imperfect, or what did the guys say? Imprecise but effortless. So she, she's this beautiful dancer because she kind of just feels the music more rather than hitting the beats.
Yeah.
And you're right. She's like this complete opposite of Nina's character. And I think that's why she has some sort of infatuation with her, because she's so opposite, opposites attract kind of thing. And she wishes she could be a little more free like that.
Because she like does this thing where she sees Lily in other people, and then she even sees herself in other people.
Yeah. Multiple times in this movie, Mila Kunis changes into Natalie Portman, like the face morph.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's seeing. She's worried that Mila Kunis's character eventually gets worried that Mila Kunis's character is like trying to steal her part.
Mm-hmm.
She gets this like paranoia going that she's gunning for her role, but then she sees herself as Mila Kunis, and there's even a line where the choreographer is like, "You're the only one standing in your way." So all this stuff that she's having this paranoia of, she's just probably making up in her head, and she's the one who's actually self-sabotaging.
Yeah, Which as entertainers, I feel like I tend to get in the way of a lot of my, with like self-doubt and not having confidence or overthinking, thinking that the crowd is laughing at me,
mm-hmm.
In a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then like thinking you're not good enough. So I think she always, because the director of Black Swan and the school, right?
He seems like... Yeah, we should talk about him. We should talk about him because he's definitely an interesting character as well. The first time we meet him is at the auditions for Swan Lake. And I think you're right. I think he's like probably the creative director of the theater / school. And also he's directing this production, which is their premiere production of the season.
Yes.
He
must be the director, because everybody literally takes off clothes or puts on clothes, kind of perfects themselves a little bit better. So when he's walking by, they're all just kind of looking, and they're like, "Oh, pick me." And then he would just tap all the girls on the shoulder. And
that first scene when he comes in, he's talking about the story of Swan Lake while also just examining all these girls very voyeuristically, kind of indulging in what he's saying too, and because, touching them, and
because the white swan is pure, is innocent, so he's looking for somebody that looks like that, but then the black swan is somebody that seduces. It's not the devil looking bird one that seduces her, it's the other way around.
Yes.
It's what the fuck?
It's a pure looking person with this inner evil.
And you have to embody both.
Yes. That's his main thing. He needs who's going to be the Swan Queen to be able to tap into the white and the black swan.
Mm-hmm.
And his character, throughout this thing is pushing a lot of people, and I think it's clear that he's been in this industry for a very long time, obviously well respected.
And gets what he wants.
And in gross ways.
Everybody knows it.
Yes.
Everybody knows it.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a man who is in control of this whole school, which is full of young women. And he definitely feels like he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah. And desperate in the way that they want to be seen. They've been working on this since they were like 3 years old, you know, a lot of them. So they would want to have a big part like this. I mean, we all know the story. So, and then especially in the school that looks like it's, you know, highly praised and attended, they want to be recognized. So they are desperate in that sense. So he knows that.
Yes.
So he has all the power.
Yes. All of it. And he's clearly used it before. I mean, what's implied that's happened between him and Beth? Definitely he's done the same thing with her, seducing her into directing her and stuff like that. I mean, he calls her little princess, and that's his like little pet name. So
it is so freaking what's the word I want to use? Demeaning.
Yeah. It's also just like this grooming thing that he's going on, making them feel special. Yeah.
Yeah. What, he's like double their age, maybe?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Real gross.
I would hate anybody to call me little princess. Call me garbage.
Call me garbage.
Call me dead rat. I would rather want that than little princess.
Little princess. Yeah, it's really well, and it's again like this weird like child like parent thing. That feels like a father would call their daughter that, which is a whole nother level of gross because he's then touching them sexually and also kissing them and having sex with them. And then seeing them,
what, like a little kid.
Yeah, it's weird. It's this weird
dynamic.
Weird dynamic. And he recognizes that innocence for sure in Nina. She is like really upset because she couldn't really get it together and get the Black Swan out of her in that audition. So she goes to the choreographer the next day and she's like, I just want you to know I finished the dance. And he's like, okay.
Good for you. Yeah, I know you could finish it, but like,
I need you to feel it. And then this is like the first scene where we see some like actual like sexual assault from him because he does a lot of in this scene. It was interesting. A couple times before he even touched her, he was coming really close to her and the sound was like like this very breathy sound in the background every time he would get close, and then when he would walk away it would go away, and then it would come back when they got close again. It was like this
it's the black swan.
It's this like siren-y kind of like almost like he's trying to pull her in and show her like the evil side.
Yeah.
And he was like, you can do the white swan perfectly, but I just don't see the black swan. And she's like, okay, thank you for hearing me. And he's like, really? You're not even going to fight for it?
Yeah, like opens the door and then closes it right in front of her and is like, come on. You dolled yourself up because, there's a moment that we missed. Winona character, Beth, was told that she was going to retire.
You're done.
And then she went into her private, room and just destroys it.
Yeah.
And so then walks away, and Nina sees this, and you can tell that she's like has some admiration or envy or something. She's striving to be her, and she goes in and steals her lipstick.
Yep.
Her red lipstick, which we hear as she's like revealing the color of it.
Yep.
So then she puts that on as she goes and talks to him. Dolling herself up.
Yeah, there's definitely this like idea of she wants to be Beth. She wants to be where she is, at least. She
wants the role. She wants the attention. She wants the like fame. Because I think she knows that nobody really looks at her the way that other people look at other people.
Yes. Like
Beth and Lily. And she wants it. She's wants to be
desperate for
bad, but she doesn't know how.
She's so infatuated with that idea that she goes as far to steal things from the person who is in that position.
To kind of embody her.
Yeah. To like be like, well, she's using this lipstick. Maybe if I use it, I'll get it too. It's this weird obsession that she has with her. And it's revealed later that she's been stealing many things from her. Like, it wasn't just the lipstick. It was like that knife that she uses to...
No, the nail filer.
The nail filer, yes.
Yeah, it's a nail filer.
Earrings. Cigarettes. Like,
even though she doesn't smoke. Yikes.
Yeah, and then she puts on that lipstick to then go talk to the choreographer as if, like, ooh, this might give me some more power.
And then that gives him the incentive to be like, you clearly came here to fight for this role, so fight for it. Like, I see that you put a little bit of red lipstick on, because, like, it's so awful that, like, red lipstick is considered to be seductive and, like...
If you wear it, you automatically want to fuck.
Which sucks because I love red lipstick, but I like putting it on because I saw my biological mom putting it on, and I just thought it looked so good on her, so I was like, I want to look good. But anyways,
well, it's another.
She has her hair down.
Her hair down, but it's another clear, like, misogynistic thing. Like, he automatically assumes because she's wearing that lipstick that she's there to probably fuck him for the role, fight for the role.
It was for her. Like, I mean, in this instance, it kind of was.
Yes.
But she didn't know how to use her sexuality. She's just like, I've seen other people do this. And then he took it like, yeah, this is for me. Like, you're putting on makeup for me.
Yeah. No matter what, he automatically assumed it's for him. And she, because that's very much out of her character up until this point. We haven't seen her wear any lipstick makeup. Or any makeup. So, to him, it's different. So he's automatically thinking, she's doing this for me. And then he pretty much ends up seducing her. And...
she bites him.
And she bites him. Yeah, because...
Because she didn't know...
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And he was like... He's shocked. He's like, you bit me. What?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, that hurt. But, like,
hurt.
There's, like, a little... Like... Behind that shock, there was a little bit of a, like...
You liked it.
What? It's not gratitude. Why am I thinking
it's
about
like admiration.
Yeah, it was kind of like, wow, like, I can, like, get this out of her.
It's like validation that, okay, wait, maybe there is a little black swan in there, and I can bring it out.
Like... leaves, and then that's when Nina goes over and she sees her name on there.
She got it.
As the Swan Princess.
Swan Queen, baby. Killing it. Sick. Sick, dude. She got it. And there's this interesting moment where she goes into the bathroom stall and calls her mom to tell her. And we've seen her go to the bathroom stall already in this movie. Yeah. To throw up.
Yeah, it was right after her audition, and Lily interrupted, and she was like, I'll go again, and he was like, no. Yeah. And so she goes and throws up.
She throws up after she fucks up pretty much every time in this movie.
Yes.
Like, she messes up, she doesn't feel good about her dancing, we see her in the bathroom.
Either whether she's doing it on purpose or it's just like an anxiety thing, because like I get nauseous when I just have like a knot in my stomach, but it seems like it's both. It seems like it's self-harm and just anxiety.
Yeah. So almost... And then she returns to the stall to call her mom, which is like a very happy moment. It's almost like this bathroom stall is her comfort zone. You know, it's where she goes to feel better.
She has no friends.
She has no friends. Yeah.
Ballet is her life.
Yeah.
And she has no friends. She's never... gone out and experienced things.
Nope.
Yikes.
Yeah, no friends. People are nice to her, but you can tell, like, no one really knows her. She's not never seen with talking to the other dancers ever.
Well, because, yeah, like, it would be a little hard. Not that you can't talk to somebody who's quiet, but, like, there's a little bit of a... And, like, maybe they do want to be by themselves or something, you know?
Well, because she's so single-mindedly focused on dancing, too, that she's made that her life. And I'm sure also she's not rushing to bring anyone over to her house where her mom is, you know? So her mom has also isolated her into this life. So I'm sure it's been difficult for her to even make friends. Just sad. It's really sad because her comfort zone is now the bathroom stall, and she calls her mom.
Her bathroom in general.
The bathroom in
because we
general,
saw
yeah.
her bathroom at her house several times.
Yes. It's always too, like, she's putting things in front of the door to lock people out, or at least warn her of when people are coming in. So, yeah, real sad. And then whore. Whore is written on the bathroom stall when she walks out in red lipstick.
Red lipstick.
Did someone else do that? Did she do that?
Did she do that? She had already stolen the red lipstick from Beth. So, I mean, Beth could have more, but it seemed like she had already even left the building. Yeah. Like, why would she be sticking around?
I think this also then, for Nina's character, begins the paranoia that other people want this role. It's a very sought-after role. Why wouldn't other people want it?
Because another part is that, about the mom, is that she's afraid of her getting this part. Yeah. She doesn't want her to get this part. She's just like, oh, you're fine. As long as you're just, like, doing ballet and, like, having all the nice little roles, then that's fine.
But once you're put in this position of power, first of all, I think you're right. It's going to force her to grow up and eventually leave her mother. But also, it's this idea of her outshining her mother. You know, her mother never got to that. So there's this weird mother jealousy that's going on. I don't think she wants her to get big. She would love to have her in her little childhood room for her whole life. And she's been very controlling of her entire life up until this point. And I think just subconsciously, Mina, she's obviously, it's established that she's had this like weird habit of scratching herself. And that's probably her anxiety and her frustrations just subconsciously coming out about her mother. She wants to break out of this white swan that she has been made into. Yeah. And so this idea of like literally scratching her skin off and like scratching herself open to like change into something else, it's just like coming through subconsciously.
Yeah, because like we see in different scenes that like, you know, the skin of a bird, how it's like
goosebumps.
Yeah, the goosebumps. Yeah. It's like on several parts of her skin, and then it just like grows more as she embodies the black swan. So yeah, and like the wound, the scratches is where she's scratching off that like little goose bump.
It's
area.
where, it's like right on the shoulder. It's where a wing would come out, you know? And that's
your little blades.
Your little blades. And that's where I started thinking, like, there's also this whole thing, the entire movie, Natalie Portman is covering up that area too. She has these like small shawls that she's always wearing. She's always trying to cover her shoulders, you know, covering the part where the wings want to break free. You know, she's like holding herself back. You know, these things are covering the thing that will set her free, her inner black swan. She's fighting against it for so much, and also obviously her mother is fighting against it as well.
Like, I don't understand why she had to do this, but it's the whole babying thing of like undressing her. Yeah. You know, and this obsession with her daughter, and she wants to be her and stuff, and then she sees the scratches and she's like, fuck you, no! And then starts like fucking, no. Why don't you have a regular ass nail clipper?
And let her do
psycho?
It. Let her do
also
it.
That, yeah. Ugh. Why are you going with the fucking scissors?
That's where she like calls it a nasty habit, and we're gonna put these mittens on you so you can't scratch yourself at night.
Like a baby.
Like a baby. Like a
There's
little kid.
baby mittens, so then they don't like scratch themselves. You know?
Yeah. No, it's very icky, very baby. And then she sleeps in her room with her that night. Like watching over her little baby sleep.
Oh, that literally gave me goosebumps. Oh, yikes. Dun, 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 dun. Just start dancing. For those of you hearing, we were dancing.
We were dancing. We became the Black Swans.
Oh my God, you're the Black Swan and I'm the White Swan. Just because I'm wearing white and you're wearing black.
I am sexually liberated.
It's
Suck
even though
my dick.
whose dick did you have to suck in order to get this role? You
Choreographer, a tall glass of water.
A tall glass of water.
They, start getting into more of the rehearsal process for Swan Lake, and she's still just really struggling with the Black Swan parts.
Mm-hmm.
She's really hitting the White Swan hard. Well.
Too well.
Too good. But she can't let go. And the choreographer is just getting more and more frustrated, trying to get it out of her. But the person who really gets her out of her is Lily. And I wondered if the choreographer talked to Lily and was like, take her out. Take her out to get drinks. Have her let loose a little bit.
I think so.
I feel like he was kind of part of that plan.
Because, like, in that night where Lily comes over and talks to her, and it was, like, a really rough rehearsal where he just kept saying again and again and again. And then somebody had turned off the lights because, I mean, it's time to go.
Yep, gotta go.
The most expensive thing is the fucking lights.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, no, we're staying here. And then he lets everybody else go. And then he fucking harasses her again.
Yep.
Starts touching her. And she kind of gives in a little bit. Like, she allows him to because she's like, this is going to be good for my role. Like, he's telling me.
Mm-hmm.
I believe him. I trust him. I think he's a genius.
And also, I don't think she's really been touched like that. Because she's like this innocent person. Mm-hmm. I think he's really seducing her and like making her feel sexual, and like it's assault for sure, but no one's touched her like that that passionately before, I don't think. And then he quickly pushes her off and is like, see, that's me seducing you. It's got to be the other way around. And then he just walks away.
And then he just walks away.
And she's like, please.
Yeah,
please. It's like
it was so sad.
Because she feels in that moment like she did something wrong when he's the one who's sexually assaulting her.
That's the start of abuse.
Yes.
That's the start of abuse, and that's how it is. And so you think that you're always doing something wrong, and so when you get those moments of like pleasure, is when you're like, yay! You're not really considered about you getting pleasure; it's them getting pleasure. But he really, as much as he harasses her, and I'm pretty sure he wants to have sex with her, like, he doesn't, because he's like, no, you need to tap into this, and then I'll have sex with you. Like, get bad before.
Yes.
I don't want to have sex with this good one. I want to have bad sex.
I want to have dirty sex.
No,
you're right. I think you're right. He's harassing her for the show. And that's what I wrote down at a certain point. He's using the show and his position of being a director as an excuse to do these things. He's definitely somewhat getting his rocks off on this shit, and playing those like mental games. But everything is for the show. He's using that as that's always going to be the fallback. I brought it out of you.
Breaking her so then he can have a good performance out of her.
That's all it is.
Regardless of what that does to her.
And then he's going to throw her to the side when he's done with her. Just like he did Beth. So
absolutely.
It's all for the theater.
Yeah.
It's for the show.
It's for the show. She's a little puppet.
He's brilliant. He's a prick.
Shut up. He's like, he's not warm and fuzzy. Yeah. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, and so we get to that part where, Lily and Nina are talking to each other, and Lily's like being real with her. She's like, he's an asshole. Like, he's like, he's good at what he does, putting on these shows, but at what cost? He's a dick. And Nina like comes to his defense a little bit, like, he's
brilliant.
He's a genius. It's for the show. You don't know him.
And this is what I mean. I feel like this Lily is not real because we've seen the usage of mirrors, and she doesn't have anything to cover the wings, and it's their wings that she has on her back, and her back is facing the mirror. So, yeah.
Is it the
And then
real
she
Lily?
has,
Oh, no.
and then she has that pack of cigarettes.
Yes.
So I think it's Nina talking to herself in the mirror,
In the reflection.
in the reflection.
I got that sense too, especially because how Lily comes into that scene. Nina's sitting in the studio, and Lily's like, hey, and she turns around, and in the shadows, it's Natalie Portman. And then when she comes into the light, her face changes to Mila Kunis. So from there, I was like, I don't think this is the real Lily at all.
No.
We're just talking to ourselves here.
Yeah.
The next scene is with her and her mother, and her mother is talking about, like, oh, they're putting too much pressure on you, all this kind of stuff. This is what this career will do. And she was like, you know, when I was in my career, and Nina's very quickly like, what career? And then she's like, the career that I gave up to have and raise you. And that's when we see this like very kind of jealousy come through. And then right after that's brought up, her mom's like, how are your scratches? Have they gone away? And she's like, they're fine. They're fine. Take off your shirt.
Take off your shirt.
Take off your shirt.
And then she was like, no! She like yelled at her. I think this is the first time she's ever raised her voice.
Talk back to her.
And then there was a ding dong.
Luckily, break this off before it got too escalated.
Yeah.
And Lily's there. Nina's like, at this point, fed up. We just saw her talk back probably for the first time. And now she's like, you know what, fuck it. We're going out.
We're going out.
We're going to get drinks. And I mean, this night to me is like a big metamorphosis of Nina's character. First time probably that she's like really drinking hard, seemingly so, and like letting loose.
She's also was given a drug in her drink.
Yes, like really, like she was given ecstasy. Like the inhibitions are being taken off.
Yes,
for sure. No breaks.
She's doing everything that she's never done probably before.
Yeah.
So like going out. She's like eating for the first time that we've seen her.
Yeah.
She's rolling. She's talking to boys.
Dancing.
Dancing. She has a makeout session with Lily on the dance floor, and then
a makeout section with a random dude in the bathroom. Yeah.
And then that's when she like comes out, and she's like, "Holy shit!" And I think she's like coming down her like little drug night.
She's like coming back into consciousness.
And then Lily's like, "Where are you going?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Come back."
Where are you going?
And then after that, we see her home.
We see her home. She comes home from her wild night out, and she comes back with Lily. And it's interesting when she comes into the apartment, the shot is of a reflection, and it's like this mirror that's a circle, big circle in the middle, and then there's like a bunch of other circles that are around it. She's in the Lily's in the center reflection, but she's not in. I'm pretty sure she's not in any of the other reflections that are around.
Whoa!
And I was like,
before they got there, to the apartment, they're taking a cab.
Yeah.
And so this Lily, it starts going in, giving her a little bit of pleasure, you know?
A little touch.
And she like kind of takes her hand off, and then just like looks out very just like somber and just like very just kind of like displeased or whatever. But then when she gets home, she's like really happy.
Yeah. She's coming in. She's pretty drunk. She's like definitely still feeling ecstasy. And her mother doesn't. She
fucking comes from the dark.
The black of the hall.
Like, where are you?
What have you done?
What have you done? And she's like,
You've been drinking.
Do you want me to name everybody? And there was Sebastian Stan.
Tom, Jerry, and I fucked them both. But the mother doesn't acknowledge Lily at all.
No.
She doesn't even say, hey, or what are you doing here? Like, she's
Who are you? Get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah.
You know, you're the reason why she left.
Yeah. And Nina takes Lily back into her room and using her new little door lock, which is just a pipe that she found, wedges it closed.
Sad.
That's her lock. That's the only way she can get privacy.
This 28-year-old is using a pipe lock to lock her door.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not
she
good.
did tell her mom that she's like, I'm moving out.
Yeah. But we lock the door and we're getting some sexy time. Lily and Nina.
And I wonder if maybe she was drilled into thinking that sex is bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like she's never experienced it and her mom has kept her a baby. So I wonder if like her mom was just like, don't get with anybody, don't have sex, you know, don't self-discover because like she's afraid that she's going to grow up and leave, you know, with, you know, like somebody.
Like she should?
Like she should because she's an adult.
Yeah.
And she, you know, is an adult. So I'm thinking this whole, like, this sexual liberation is another reason why she's just, like, thinking she's full of evil. Yeah. Because another moment that she's trying to masturbate is in the tub, and then she submerges herself underwater, and then we see droplets of blood in the water, and she looks up, and it's herself, like...
like her evil self or something.
And then she, like, maybe the fingers she used to pleasure herself starts getting little fucking...
Like it's another like hangnail or something.
I think it was like the feathers coming out.
Oh, ew.
That's what I saw because they were little black, little pointy things.
Oh. Gross.
So
yeah, I mean that makes sense. And then right after that, when she sees her evil self, she is like cutting her nails again, and then we see her evil self in the reflection of the mirror, like almost purposely cutting her finger. Mm-hmm. It's another moment of self-harm. After she did something bad. Anyway. But I think you're right. Like, there's so many moments of sexual repression in this movie, and this moment, whether it's real or not, between her and Lily is her finally kind of just letting that loose and letting go of her mother. And she sees herself having sex with herself, too. Like, there's another moment of face swapping and stuff. And then the next day is when she says, I'm moving out. Because her mom didn't wake her up to go to rehearsal. Mm-hmm. And she's all pissed. She's late. She's like, you didn't wake me? I'm moving out. And her mom is just like sitting there, just like catatonic. Just
probably fucking hurt her, though. You know what I'm saying? I would be, too. I'd be like, I just heard my child have sex. Yeah, please move out. You are not this baby that I thought.
No.
Or been trying to repress you in.
Yeah, because she was probably just outside the door while she was having a crazy masturbation session.
Yeah, because she's like, she's me, I'm her. We're having this experience together.
Gross.
But yeah, she storms in the school, and she's like, holy shit, because this is dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
You know, so they're on stage, and she hears her song. She's like, oh shit, this is my song. And then she storms in, and then he's like, I don't want to fucking hear it. Go and warm up. So she's warming up, and she's like super pissed because who's dancing in her part?
Lily.
Mm-hmm. And as soon as she finishes off, she storms to her and says, I am so sorry. They told me to fill in.
Yeah.
And she's just like, you're trying to take my part.
Yep. This then feeds the paranoia that people are gunning for her role.
Yeah, because she said, why did you, first of all, why did you drug me? Even though she knew.
Yeah. She's like, yes, I put something, like, clearly we acknowledged it.
Yeah. You asked me, how long is it going to last? And I said several hours. And then you went for it.
Yeah.
And you drank the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you, yeah.
And you didn't even wake me up this morning. She's like,
what?
huh? Yeah, you slept over last night? No, I didn't.
You probably took that Tom guy home.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh shit, you were fantasizing about me.
Yeah.
And then
you have a wet dream about me.
Yeah, it's like, was I good?
Yes.
I mean,
yes, you were.
According to Sam.
I mean, according to Nina, she looked like she had a great time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But, yeah, it's like this, oh shit, that wasn't really her.
That wasn't her, then who was it?
That was your black swan coming out.
Lily!
I just flew in. Boy, are my arms tired. They're in the dress rehearsal, and she's dancing, and she's watching the choreographer's reaction to her performance. And then she's watching him look at Lily, and she's thinking he prefers her to me. And it's like, again, just feeding this paranoia that he wants her. I'm not going to be the one to do the role. And then she goes to the choreographer after she learns that Lily was made her alternate. She's like, no, it can't be her. She's coming for my role. It just can't be her.
Mm-hmm.
And the choreographer is like, it's fine. Like, just give a good performance, and you won't have to worry about anyone else. You won't have to worry about Lily. You won't have to worry about Beth. Like, just be perfect, essentially.
Just lose yourself.
Lose yourself.
You still haven't lose, like, at least we haven't seen it on stage that
Nope.
you have lost yourself. And by losing yourself is losing your fucking marbles.
Losing your marbles.
Get the jar of marbles and throw it on the ground. See how far they go.
Yep. And
boy, do they go far.
Oh, they go far. And it's like, I think it's the night before the opening show. She's still rehearsing. Well, because he also says, like, go relax.
Go home and relax.
Yeah, go get some rest. We have a big day tomorrow. Next scene, she's still rehearsing.
She's rehearsing with a pianist, which seems like it might have been very fucking late because he just stops mid-song.
Yeah.
They did it all over again. Mid-song, and he's like, I worked too hard.
I got a life.
Yeah, I got a life. I worked too hard. It's a big day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Ow! You know, like,
Yeah, even him, he's like, we're done. Can we just go home? Bye. And then this is when she's alone again, and lights go out, and she's like, we're still rehearsing here. And then she follows what looked like the evil bird man.
Yeah.
To, like, behind stage, and he sees the choreographer and Lily having sex. But then Lily also morphs into Nina again. She sees herself having sex with him, and then he turns into the big evil bird man.
It's like, fucking hell, girl, you are going crazy.
I don't think any of that happened.
No.
I don't think Lily was ever having sex with the choreographer. That's just, again, feeding into the paranoia that she wants to take her role.
Mm-hmm. And I think that part where Lily and the choreographer are looking at each other literally was just a split second, and then she just
blew it up. Yes.
That, like, maybe it was just kind of like a, oh, okay, cool, like, acknowledgement, kind of like, we're gonna think about you, you're still secondary.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of maybe was still looking at her, but I don't think Lily kept eye contact with him. Yeah,
her paranoia just blew that up into this whole hallucination that she just had about her fucking her way to the part, essentially. Which is what Beth implied that she was doing.
She was getting with everybody.
Yep. Which, what does Nina do right after this? She goes to return Beth's things in the hospital. And
she's trying to make wrong right.
Yeah, because she's like, I know how you feel. They're all coming for my role. They're trying to replace me. And Beth is just, like, super drugged up in the hospital, and she's like, you took my things? She, like, sees all the things that she had taken on the table.
And she's like, I'm so sorry.
I just wanted to be perfect.
I wanted to be perfect like you. And she's like, I'm not perfect.
Perfect. I'm nothing.
I'm nothing! Nothing! That was gross.
Face stabbing.
And then, obviously, that didn't happen because she morphed Beth morphs into Nina.
Yeah, she sees herself stabbing herself in the face. And then she runs out of the hospital, and when she gets to the escalator or the elevator, she drops the nail file that she was using to stab herself in the face. So, did she stab Beth? Or...
Because that didn't go away. She literally did clean her hands.
Yes. The next scene was her coming into her apartment and her washing her hands of blood.
Who did she see in the corner?
Beth.
That's Beth?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, like the lights turn out, and then she turns back on the light, and Beth is fucking standing in the corner. And then she runs into her mom's painting studio, and all the paintings are screaming at her.
Yeah.
And then fucking Bloody Beth walks in, and then it turns into her mother. And it's like, what's happening?
Lord.
And then I think she goes to the bathroom to throw up after that.
Yeah, she does.
Ugh.
And her mom is like, let me in!
I have to cut your nails!
Baby!
No.
Here's your mittens!
And then that's the scene where she looks in the mirror, and that's when she pulls the feathers out of her scratches for the first time. And we're like, uh-oh. Red eyes, and she's looking at the feather. She's like, oh, we are morphing here. We're morphing.
Might have her. I hurt somebody. And, yeah, I'm losing it. I've lost it.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm the Black Swan.
She is the Black Swan.
I've had sex. I've stabbed somebody in the eye. Or not eye, but like in the face. Yeah. With a nail filer. Like something that clearly is so personal to her because she's always trying to keep up with them.
Well, it's also she's like filing down her claws. She's like trying to repress the black swan's claws coming out. But then she uses that tool that's been repressing her to then turn into the Black Swan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, she's fully turned into Black Swan at this point. And it's opening night.
Mm-hmm.
And originally, the mother calls the theater to tell them that she's not
coming
because she's not feeling well.
She's not feeling well. She had a psychotic episode.
Yes.
And her mom is again sleeping in her room.
Yes.
Has taken the handle off the door until she gets better, she said.
Ew.
But no. Freaking, she was born for this.
Yeah, she's like
worked hard.
Yep. Yeah, and gets the doorknob and gets out of there. She's like, no one's stopping me now. Not you. I'm Black Swan now. And my Black Swan's coming out. I gotta go.
She's here to stay. Mother.
But she goes to the theater and
everybody's looking at her because she looks probably different.
Yeah. Well, and everyone
her acting's different.
Everyone thought that she wasn't going to perform.
True.
And suddenly she's here, and everyone's like, "Is she okay? Is she cool?" Even the choreographer, who obviously this is important to him, like this is his big thing. He's been working and sexually assaulting people to get this perfect. He even is like, "Are you okay? Are you good?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. And he's like, "Well, I already told Lily that she's going on." And she's like, "Have you announced it?"
Very, very stoic and very like, that was the first time that she looks like she's in power.
Between them, for sure.
Yes. And she's like, well, I'm here. If you didn't announce it to the public and it's just among us, then I'm going on.
We're going on. And he's like, okay. Ooh.
He liked it.
Yeah, he's like,
he liked it. He's like, yes.
Finally, you're fighting for it.
Yeah.
You're fighting
you're fighting for it. And what did he tell her? It's like, you...
I wrote down only... you're the only one who's holding you back.
Yes.
Let go. Yeah. Let go.
Lose yourself.
Yes.
That's the phrase he keeps freaking saying. Yes, she's losing it. She's losing it. Going bananas.
Yep. And the first act is going well. And then she bobbles. She bobbles as the White Swan, probably for the first time ever on stage. And almost like this indication that, shit, Black Swan is coming through more, I think, than we're probably anticipating.
Mm-hmm.
Black Swan's really wanting to get out.
She wants to get out.
White Swan, we're losing
She's
White
done
Swan.
hiding in the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to submerge like her mom. That was such a funny scene.
So scary.
It was so scary.
Scary woman.
And
so, yeah, she bobbles at the end, and she's frustrated, obviously, and then goes back into her dressing room, and Lily's getting ready. Lily's, like, putting on the makeup. She's like,
the
well...
Black Swan makeup.
Yeah, she's like, well, looks like you fucked up. I think it's time you step aside and let me do it.
Yeah. I'm coming out as the Black Swan.
Yep.
She says. And she's like, no, you're not.
Mm-mm.
Fucking tassels her and shit.
Throws her against the mirror, breaks the mirror, and it's like, they're like choking each other.
And at one point, like, Nina's neck just like elongates. Like a
swan.
Fucking swan.
Yeah. Ew.
Yeah, and then that's when she grabs a piece of that mirror, jams it in her stomach.
Right into
Lily's stomach.
And, oh.
Dead.
Done.
And then she's like, holy fuck, what did I do?
There's just only like a quick moment, I feel like, of her freaking out. She drags Lily into the closet real quick. And then she like takes a breath and just like, you can tell she's like,
yeah, she
like kind of like taken over, like hypnotized by, I think, the Black Swan.
Yeah.
She like then completely is transformed into the Black Swan. And then
yeah, her eyes are red.
Yeah.
And like clearly all that's going in her head is the show must go on.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what's going on, the show must go on.
Yep. And when she's the Black Swan in the ballet, she's like feeling it. She's like just like almost on drugs, seeming like she's dancing, and it's all just like so inside of her, and she's like just feeling like she is the Black Swan, and then actually grows the feathers and becomes a Black Swan.
And becomes a Black Swan, and her performance is much stronger. And it's so captivating. And I'm like, oh, this is what he means.
Yes.
Like, we've just been getting like little like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But this time she's like throwing her arms and like really just like,
she's seducing,
grounding,
seducing the crowd, seducing us as the audience,
and becomes the whole fucking bird.
Fucking bird, and standing ovation.
Yeah,
standing ovation. People love it, and she immediately walks off the stage and kisses the choreographer, and it definitely feels like she seduced him too. Mm-hmm. She pulls him in and kisses him and takes that power back.
Well, because it's the first time she's ever done that, like approached somebody and done a movement that was empowering.
Yeah. She's definitely, this is like the most powerful we've seen her in this whole movie.
And she goes back into her dressing room. She has to go back into her White Swan, where she can't seem to let go of the Black Swan.
She can't go back now.
And who's there knocking at her door?
It's me, Lily.
Hi.
Not
I just
dead.
wanted to tell you that you are amazing. Like you're great. You captivated it. Good job.
Yeah.
And then she was just like, what the fuck? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to let you go then. I'll see ya.
Bye. And then open the closet. Nobody.
Looks down at herself. Oh, shit.
Stabbed herself.
I stabbed my own self.
Oh. Ow. The Black Swan betrayed her. She let herself go to the Black Swan side. Yeah. Let herself go wild and indulge completely in that side. But it betrayed her. That wild side ultimately betrayed her and killed her. She couldn't be the White Swan and the Black Swan ultimately in the end. She couldn't embody both. But this one performance where she was able to embody both even though it killed her in the end, to her, it seemed worth it. At the end, she was like, I was perfect.
Yeah.
I did it.
I did it. I felt it.
I felt
perfection.
Yeah, I fucking felt it.
And the last image that she had as she, like, plunged herself, because we had seen that she was taking a little bit of time. Because in the show, she dies.
Right.
You know, the white swan dies.
Mm-hmm.
And she was she was able to really do it this time without any hesitation, because her mom is on, like, in the audience.
Yeah.
Watching her, and she's very proud and like crying, essentially also like trying to, like, you know, like, that's me up there, you know,
Could have been me.
That's me.
Yeah.
And then so she was like, fuck you, Mom. And then she felt bliss as she was coming down to her death.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh my God, good job. Literally on her deathbed, because, like, it's a bed.
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, yeah. And then Lily was the one that was like, oh my God. And the director comes over, was like, fucking somebody call the cops. The cops. The ambulance.
Call the cops.
Call the cops. There's
She
been
killed
a murder.
herself.
Arrest her.
Arrest this woman. She killed her. And that was also the first time that he refers to Nina as his little princess.
Because she got there.
Because she did do it. She did, like, the perfect performance. And
he's like, this is yours now, you little princess.
My little princess.
Ew. Yeah, might as well die. Goodbye.
And then she dies.
Yeah, and we know she died because there's a big symbolic white lights. Like, come on.
It was perfect.
La, la, la. Take me away.
Take me away. Bye. Yeah. Ultimately, what this movie is talking about is about this repressed girl who is trying to find herself and trying to grow up and trying to find her sexual liberation. And she did. She did break away from her abusive mother somewhat and found herself sexually. And why would she want to go back to the White Swan? Ultimately, the White Swan is dead. And I think that moment, that last moment, is very interesting when she's looking at her mother. Because, yes, I think her mother is proud that her daughter is in that position. But she's also scared and pissed off that her little girl, her little White Swan, is gone. Is dead. You know, she's never going to be her Nina, her sweet girl that she kept calling her, ever again.
Yeah.
Out of her control.
Out of her control. Black Swan.
Fucking Black Swan, man.
Fucking Black Swan.
Hey. Cool.
So
well,
good.
Let's get to some Smash Pumpkin ratings, shall we?
All right.
Smash them.
I'm gonna start first.
Do it.
I'm gonna give it what it deserves.
All right.
I'm gonna give it 5.
5.
I
for some reason thought you were gonna go there.
My gosh, I can see how Natalie Portman won this Oscar.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the script is well written. We talked about the editing and dancing. I think it's a really hard thing to shoot, especially with something so, graceful of, like, ballet. And for it to not feel like, woo, overwhelming, or just like a long shot of them just doing the dancing and stuff. Yeah, and then the fuckery of it, is what parts were real, what parts weren't. And I think they did a well job for it to not feel convoluted and, like, confusing. And it's just enough to, like, keep you guessing. After 5-6 times of watching it, you won't know the truth ever. But again, wasn't clouded, because I think sometimes when it comes to these kind of, like, moments of, like, we're gonna try to keep you guessing, and then they keep you guessing to the point where you are like, okay, now this is like
what?
You're giving me too much.
Yeah.
And I think they did really well there. And it was just the right amount of fucked up that I
amount of fucked up.
Yeah.
Definitely a psychological thriller. And I think you're right. Like, the filmmaking and the storytelling is done so well that we could talk about a single scene all day and debate whether or not it actually happened or not, and still not come to a conclusion at the end, which is great, you know. And it's cool that the movie gave us so many answers without answering a single thing, down to the point of like, what really happened, what really was real. And I think too, it's just, I think this was the first time that I actually realized how messed up Natalie Portman was, her character. And then that, because they present her as this such a innocent, and she plays it so well, this innocence, and this like all these things that are happening in her life just bubbling to the surface, and uncontrollably bubbling to the surface.
She was going through a psychosis.
She was going through a psychosis, but almost a psychosis that she wanted, because she was so repressed, and she needed,
Well, like, she literally took the words "lose yourself" really freaking to heart.
Yep.
And it's like, that's not what we were trying to get you at.
Yeah.
We wanted to see the passion.
Yes.
Not the insanity, you know?
Which is, you know, it's an interesting question that this movie poses, is passion and insanity, you know, pushing something to be perfect. How far are you willing to go to actually achieve that perfection, and what does it take from you personally to achieve that?
I don't like using the word perfect either. That's
the word that this movie uses. I think it's more, though, it's not perfection, it's obsession.
It's obsession.
It's obsession with that idea.
Well, the perfection is obsession. And the whole, like, phrase of, you know, practice till it's perfect. And like, no, because it will never be perfect. Because you will always be criticizing yourself. You have that inner critique in you that's always fucking telling you, like, you didn't do that well enough, you know?
And how she punishes herself for not living up to those standards, you know? And, I think you're right. I completely agree with all the things that you said about it, and the performances were fantastic. And I also want to give another shout out to Natalie Portman, because I read today, in anticipation of watching this movie, that she trained for over a year of ballet before starting to shoot this. And she actually paid out of pocket herself to get the classes before the film even got funding. So she was fully committed to this role. And I mean, ironically, you know, this role is about fully committing, this character fully committing to this. But it shows. I mean, I think that Natalie Portman's star standout performance, it's incredible,
really good.
And I'm also gonna give it a 5. We're gonna fault it, y'all. Show me a spot.
Show me a spot.
Show me one spot.
I do want to say, before we go to pulling out the next movie, I used to work at a movie theater, so I have a little story about Black Swan. And the thing about rated R movies, they would always tell us to let people know what makes it rated R, especially with our older crowd. We had to let them know, like, these are the reasons. And because we knew that they weren't going to like it, because it's not what they think it is, they thought they were coming in to see Swan Lake. And it's like, no, you assholes, if you read the fucking log line, and if you listened to me before you bought the tickets, you would have known that I'm not trying to tell you that you, I don't know, like, a lot of them were very prideful, and they're like, yeah, we're adults. And then they would come back and they're like, why do I want my money back? This is not what I wanted. And I'm like, I told you.
We told you. I mean,
I told you. I was doing my job, and I knew you were going to hate it. So many old people. Yeah. So many old people wanted to take their money back.
I mean, the movie is essentially Swan Lake. It is the same kind of story, but
they don't want to see women liberation, sexual liberation, masturbation, all the Asians.
All the Asians, they do not want to see
They don't want to see that.
Sorry, old people.
Harassiations.
Sexual harassiations. Yeah, none of that stuff. Sorry.
That was my thing.
We liked it.
We like them. We love them.
We loved
We
it.
love all the
All right.
lesbian moments.
It is time to pick the next film, and you have the honors this week. So
Mhm.
pick a good one.
Let's see.
Ooh.
What are we gonna get?
What are we gonna get?
Oh, do I want this one or that one? I want this one.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see what we got.
Log line first.
Yes,
I'm
please.
gonna even cover it myself.
Cool.
In future Tokyo, a young woman in the privatized police force tracks down her father's killer while battling against mutant rebels known as engineers.
I think this is actually a movie that Adam suggested to me. Is it Tokyo Gore Police?
Yeah.
Tokyo Gore Police!
From 2008.
Okay. Recommended from Adam.
Yoshihiro Nishimura.
Very cool.
Nice.
We're gonna get some zombie killing maybe, or I don't know. It sounds like a fun one.
W.O. Lord.
No.
Gore Police.
Tokyo Gore Police. How can it not be fun with a name like that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam.
All right.
All right. Let's get out of this.
We're out of
Goodbye.
we're getting out of this theater. This ballerina.
Tell us in the comment who will be the white swan and the black swan between us.
Look at these wings.
Look at the swings. Maybe we're too much alike.
Maybe. We're black swans.
We're black swans.
Damn it.
Yeah, to the core.
To the core.
We're too much of the lily.
We're hardcore black swan. Yeah.
All right.
All
Well,
We'll see you next week.
yeah, you know where to find me. Instagram, Color Me Leslie.
You can find me at BPRichieT, and also check us out at the Deadlights Pod.
Deadlights.
And check out Playground Social, which is the studio that we are recording this at.
Yes.
But until next ballet,
Let's get spooky.
Ooh.